thinking for AJ? Why are you not thinking, let's get him set up for kind of animal?
If that was years and years and years ago. Like, Clarissa is a way different fighter from when she was back in.
Thanks to those joining me live and to those that will be joining me on our
defenses that she's had to have recently. You know, she's pulled people.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the RoundTable about tribalism. I don't think tribalism is necessarily bad. I just don't think it has to be.
I don't know what he think he sees or what he think he know. But he going to the hospital, bro. Like, bro, you not winning that fight.
You guys mentioned, I think, D-Style, you mentioned him versus Regis Program. I'd love that. Sounds like a
old. I don't need you, you know, and PBC and others, in my opinion, it's like, oh, this is my guy. Like, there's a relationship.
Flat out, it's tough, and we call box, and we go to the end of the round, and then
that would say, what do you mean by acting flat? That's a fair question, but a participant of trash talk knows.
And they're announcing a fight 3-4 months from now, and he ain't gonna fight. I bet you anything, he's not gonna fight somebody as good as John Ryder. What's going on, everybody? D-Style here. Thanks to those joining us live and to those that'll be joining us on the archive. If you're listening on archive, hit that like button and share the content on your social media everywhere. You know, go ahead and do us that honor. I'm being joined by Mario Munguia from Infighting Hub. Right, the little name change there, but that's the name of the channel. Check them out. Subscribe to the channel. Joe Beeb, as always, the partner in crime from Ringside Reporter. Check out his show every Sunday with Eric Lorda. And, of course, he'll be hosting the Roundtable next week on Thursday. Cholo Trucker from Los Chingones. Make sure you subscribe to their channel. We got Gail on the building as well from nyfights.com. Check out that website to check out her work and the rest of their work, as well as Mario's as well, by the way. And, of course, Manny and Vivo Marrero. And he's from the Long Live Boxing Podcast. Check them out, subscribe, and support. First of all, this is a 3-year. These two shows, this week's and next week's, lands right in between the middle of the 3-year anniversary of the Roundtable. This is the 152nd edition, and I'm glad to have everybody here. And I want to thank everyone who has contributed to the Roundtable. That's been panelists, all the content creators, all the scribes, all the boxers we've had on, promoters, matchmakers, managers, everyone we've had on. We want to thank everybody. Let's go ahead and get this one started. Let's get this one, and of course, I got to thank Joe Habib, who has hosted half of these, if not more. So shout out to him as well. All right, look. We had a fight last weekend, and a lot of us have already kind of given our thoughts on what Warrington. But we're in Thursday now. You had some time to think about it. We see the aftermath of it. We've seen Warren come out and say he feels robbed. He didn't agree with the decision of the ref, that is, to stop the fight. He felt he could have kept going. Wood kind of feels disappointed, saying, he tweeted at him saying, hey, give me my credit. So that's kind of the aftermath of this. And there's different talks. Fighting Cordina, would it be a big fight? Cordina from Wales, that'll be a big fight over there in the UK. Bigger than the Warrington, I don't know. That's up for discussion. And, of course, Warrington, where does he go from here? And is it with each other? Let's start with you, Mario. What would you like to see? What do you think is going to happen here for each guy?
Yeah, it's hard for me to look at Warrington and think that he doesn't deserve anything other than going back down to the lowest rung of the ladder. And listen, he has put on great fights, honestly, and he has done a lot to give us competitive fights, and I appreciate it. But I mean, after Laura, right, the situation that happened there, he loses the fight and then they rematch and that weird mess happened. Like, there's no rematch there. Like, Warrington's given another shot. This was his third shot at this point, and he didn't really earn his position in here. Now, he put on a tremendous fight, and it sucks that it goes this way sometimes. But ultimately, to the victor go the spoils. And Lee Wood, what he managed to do in there, right? To be able to make adjustments, to be able to dog it out and grit and use his brain while still being, ready for war while still putting himself in favorable positions throughout the fight. He was able to, come back and show why he is the type of fighter who honestly is probably a headache for the sports book guys, right? You never know what kind of fight you're going to get, and it's like dangerous every time. But he's shown that he is competitive with anybody in the division. He can be that guy who goes in there and makes these great fights, and you can match him with anyone. Like, those types of fighters are matchmakers' dreams. They're promoters' dreams. And so for him to be able to come off of this win and do it in the fashion he did, I think he absolutely deserved it. I hate that on Twitter the following day, he seemed down on himself. Like, man, is anybody ever going to give me a break? Like, he's just bombarded with all of this, negativity on Twitter. But ultimately, I think it was great that he got the win. And honestly, I would watch him fight anybody next.
We're being joined by the one and the only Lady Chen.
Hi, sorry I'm late.
You're cool. You're right on time, if anything. Lady Chen,
Guys.
We're talking about Wood Warrington. What's next for each guy in your opinion?
Well, we've got obviously Lee Wood finding it really hard to make weight. So we're assuming that, according to Ben Davison, that he moves up to 130, fights Joe Cordina. A risky fight for him at 130, fighting Joe Cordina. Joe Cordina, as you see, gave a stellar performance and knocked out Ogawa. So, I mean, we'll see. Lee Wood is a different type of fighter to Ogawa. He's a boxer puncher, isn't he? But, I mean, he kind of gets his second wind and always seems to pull out a knockout. So I'm not sure, but I think that's going to be a great fight to see him at Super Feather. And then also with, who's the other guy? I've just forgotten who you just beat up just now. Oh, yeah.
Warrington?
Warrington. Yeah, shouts out to Warren. Well, I think he should stick. I think he should still stay in the game. Listen, like he said, he switched off a bit and paid the consequences. He was piecing up Wood. He was winning near enough. I had him winning every round. Maybe you could give Wood maybe the first round or something. And that would have been it. We'll see what. But Wood is 35, so it's quite crazy to see him like getting this second wind at the age of 35. I'm not sure how old is Warrington? 32? Yeah, about 32. Yeah,
he's 32.
I'm not sure what route he's going to have to go by, because we already saw this mess where he relegated his belt, vacated his IBF belt for the whole Kid Galahad thing, come all the way full circle, became an IBF champ again, and now all of a sudden it all seems to have gone down the drain. So I'm not really sure what his route back is. Maybe just to take a few European kind of level fights, come back like that. I don't know where he is in the rankings, so I'm not really sure on that regard what he does.
100%. I got you. Joe Habib, talk to us. What's next for each guy here?
I think Lee Wood will move up to 130. I think Eddie Hearn did hint that he wanted to match him with Joe Cordina. Josh Warrington, like Lady Chan said, I thought he had a great performance. I gave him every round except for one of them, so he was definitely in control of the fight. But Lee Wood does have that one-hitter quitter. He's shown it in the past, and he showed it in this fight. So with Warrington, I do think he needs kind of a build-up fight, not go too far down the ladder, but maybe like a Joet Gonzalez type opponent, I think would be a good fight for him. I think that would be a competitive fight, one that he could win. But something tells me, with his luck, he may get a rematch with Alberto Lopez, right? Because that was a close fight, and this guy always seems to be in the mix when it comes to title fights, and he's got Eddie Hearn behind him. So, I could see that happening too. But what I would like to see is I'd like to see him probably fight like a Joet Gonzalez type opponent and kind of work his way back into it, because he's already had like 3 shots at the title. So let someone else fight for the title.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's time for somebody else to fight for the title. Cholo Trucker, let me ask you this way. What would you like for each guy moving forward here? For Warren, and for Wood?
I'll probably be in the minority here, but I would actually like to see a rematch. Even if Wood is going up to 130, hey, Warrington, go up there at 130 just to make that rematch happen again. I think there's a lot of money to be made there. There's no money for any of those guys to come on this side of the world. All the money for them is on that side of the world, and they put on a classic. They put on a great show. I did have Warrington winning the fight. Loses by knockout. I don't really like Warrington, but I'm a Lee Wood fan. So, moving up to 130, good for him. At 35 years old, how much can he really give right there? Look, the guy's a warrior. I think both of these guys are warriors. It's just I don't like Warrington's dirty tactics that he does in the ring. But nonetheless, I do believe the guy is a warrior. I will never take that away from him. When it comes to Lee Wood, again, at 35 years old, you're going to put him in there against George Cordina. That's fine. That's cool. Make that happen. I'm not sure if you're Lee Wood, if that's really the most promising thing to go after, especially that you were the way you were losing to Warrington. Now you can make the argument. It's like, well, listen, I left a lot of myself in the gym trying to make this weight. Okay, cool. Got that. Or should he have, kind of just a tester fight at 130 to see how much he really has left? Honestly, I'll be real with everybody, man. I would actually like to see a rematch at 130. If Warrington is willing to say, like, hey, you know what? That's cool. I will go up to 130 to make this happen again. And I think it'll be a big fight.
All right, Gail. Same question for you. What would you like to see from each guy here?
Well, let's start with Warrington, who, despite all his losses, still remains immensely popular in Great Britain. And for my money, let's get the two guys who've just lost to our buddy Lee Wood together. How about Mauricio Lara versus Warrington? I would relish seeing those guys go at it. And I think there is a lot of money in that kind of a fight, despite Lara coming from across the pond. As for Lee Wood, he's moving up. There's no question about it. That was made loud and clear at the end of his fight. Unfortunately, he's staring down two more very difficult Mexicans. Is going up to the next weight division in Lopez and Emmanuel Navarrete. However, I'm spotting another possible fight for him, assuming that he takes maybe a tune-up fight first, especially under the WBA's rules for champions moving up or down to challenge in another division. You've got Hector Garcia sitting there, who's got the WBA belt. That's a makeable fight. It's a meaningful fight. There's not a lot of domestic talent in that weight division. And Garcia is certainly a more palatable opponent than El Vaquero. So I think he goes to Garcia all day.
All right. Okay. I could see that. I could see it. Manny Marrero. What do you think's going to happen here? What's the path for each guy, Manny?
Yeah, I'm a Lee Wood fan, and watching this fight Saturday, I was like, man, what's going on with this guy? It just kind of reminded me. And when Lee Wood fought Lara, that first fight, everyone was expecting Lee Wood to just run through Lara. And so then he did it back again. Just keep in mind, he's been fighting 3 times this year. And so is that really taking him a toll and not really making that weight? Of course, that's the decision that most likely it's going to happen, moving him up to 130, which I find that it's something good, right? Although I am with Cholo, I think we should get a rematch. If we get rematches when fights are not as close as they are, and we want to see that they make the rematch, why not make it in this one? Josh Warrington clearly was winning the fight until he got knocked out, and he got caught, and he just stood there, and then I'm like, what the heck is he doing? You know what I mean? So you can't leave those chances to a guy like Lee Wood that he can come out of nowhere. You got to knock this guy out just like Lara did. Give him no chance whatsoever. He got up. He was discombobulated. He was like, I don't know where I'm at. But guess what? Immediately, he exercised the rematch. And Lee Wood is just a warrior. I don't know how he's going to be doing in 130 pounds. Definitely Cordina, it's the one that sounds the most intriguing right now at the 130. Yeah, Gail mentioned, Hector Garcia, but just think about something right now. Navarrete was placed in this. He became a super champion. So basically, the other regional, whatever champion, the interim, it's up for grab, right? It's a regular champ. So who knows? Who knows what's going to happen with him moving up? I know that it's the division that it's Navarrete on his own, and Navarrete most likely will probably maybe move up, after he fights Conchacao. So who knows what's going to happen in there? But I do see that if they're going to do the rematch, let's do it at 130. Let's run it again. Give Warrington a chance. Why not? He deserves a chance. And so for me is I want to be able to see that again, run it through. And it's interesting because, you can see the caliber of talent in both these guys. And they got amazing back-to-back, fights with Lara. Both of them gave them a lot of actions to that. And then you get them here. Why not make the second one and make things interesting? Can Lee Wood stay one more fight in 126? I'd love to see that. But, I just don't think so.
Yeah, we're going to see what happens with that. I actually agree. I would like to see the rematch, but I like the idea that Cholo said, follow him at 130. My only thing, I am tired of Warrington just getting shots without having to earn them. Like he just gets the shot. Like he comes off a loss, right? And then he gets a title shot, right? Like I'm kind of getting annoyed with it at this point, right? At least this time it wasn't literally in his backyard of Leeds that he had to go to, Sheffield to do it. But I would like to see Warrington maybe leave the country at least once, just one time. I get he's the money man over there or whatever, but just one time, that's it. Just una vez, but we'll see what happens. Just una vez nomás.
I do like if he stays at 126. I love to see him and Robesi, Leewood and Robesi. That would be something I would love to really see, and I'll be part of that, no doubt. But who knows?
Let me just tell you, Leeds. The difference between Leeds and Sheffield, it was his backyard. It's literally like an hour difference.
Yeah, but for him, that's like
it's still, yeah.
He's a homebody fighter, so like for him to leave the house, it's like unbelievable. You know what I mean? I'm saying it's like me leaving El Paso. It's like whoa, you know what I mean? Like he went to Las Cruces. What? But it's like I'm just saying. But by the way, shout out to the chat. Let us know what you think, what you would like to see, of course, for Wood Warrington. If you're watching on the archive, leave a comment. Let us know. Shout out to Little Penny, of course. Just shout out to him.
And you know what? I mean, in a fight where you're winning most of the rounds, if not probably all the rounds, and a somewhat controversial, stoppage. I know everybody has their opinions about that. Let's run it back, man. I want to see it again.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Look, let's talk about Zurdo Ramirez. Okay, he got a win against, the one and only hard-working man, the blue-collar man, all that good stuff. This guy right here. I'm a hard-working man. Against Joe Smith, and it was a good win. I think maybe a little wide on the scorecards, but I still think the right man won. For the most part, I think the right man won. The question is this: is Zurdo a legitimate threat at cruiserweight? Right? He's no longer going to be the quote unquote big guy. Now he's just another cruiserweight, and that's a big jump. 175 to 200 is a big jump. A lot of those guys cut weight to make 200. These are big dudes, right? But maybe not a deep pool of talent, right? Maybe Zurdo's experience and boxing ability can maybe get him a world title if it's against the right guy. So I want to know, is Zurdo a legitimate threat, and can he potentially legitimately win a world title at 200 pounds? Gail, what say you?
I say that between Zurdo, Jael Pataya, the Okoli William Smith fight, after a long drought, we're making cruiserweight great again. I'm all about it. I'm loving it. These are heavyweights that can move with some speed and have some hand speed. And there's some great matchups for Zurdo. This is the right move for him to go up to cruiserweight. Now, it is true that the competition depth at cruiserweight is nothing like light heavyweight, but there's still talent at the top. There's still 4 belts in the division, and they're there for the taking. He needs to be strategic, though, about how he goes about it. He should in no way go after Jai Opataya, who is a buzzsaw and very dangerous. He's ready for that. But he might be ready to take over the belt of somebody, like Arsen Goulamirian, who holds the WBA's Super World belt at cruiserweight. Most of us don't even know him, never seen him. Resume is very thin. Probably, I'm going to stereotype, probably fights in a European style. Sounds tailor-made to me for Zurdo. Now, he might want one more tune-up fight because he and Joe did fight at a catchweight. They fought at 193. So he'll have 7 more pounds to play with. He wants to take advantage of a little of that. Great. He did, though, in the ring that night, look absolutely huge. I mean, he looked like a light on his feet heavyweight to me. He really did. But let's see what he can do. Badu Jack has moved temporarily to Bridgerweight because he wants to bag a title in one more division before he retires. Whether he's going to then come back and defend Cruiserweight, that's a potentially interesting fight with Middle Eastern money behind it for Zurdo. So that's a possibility. And then the other possibility you look at is, some of the other European title holders or Chris Billum-Smith. And that's a great money fight in the UK, who holds the WBO title. He's got a lot of paths in front of him. So he needs to talk to his team, be very smart about how he does it. And I think there is a road to good success for him. And no, I wasn't going to say Euro bum. Come on now. But we know a Mexican style fighter and a European style fighter going to be approaching a fight in 2 very different ways.
For sure. Cholo Trucker is Zurdo Ramirez a legitimate threat at 200 pounds? Are people sleeping on him, and can he get one of those trinket belts?
Well, usually sleeping on him, usually I sleep when I watch his fights, man. But I will say this. Look, I will say this, man. There was a little bit of a difference fighting Joe Smith Jr. Okay. It was actually, I'm not going to say it was exciting, but for him, for one of his fights, it was exciting. Okay. I saw a little bit more movement from him. Once upon a time, when it came to Zurdo, I said there's only 2 good things that he has. Okay. 2 things going for him. The fact that he's a southpaw and that he's big. That is it. I don't know anything else that he does good. Now, I actually saw a little bit better movement on Zurdo. I saw a little bit of head movement. Don't exaggerate. I'm not exaggerating that, hey, man, this guy's got all the skills in the world now. No, but I saw a little something different from him. So whether, it's just his training or he feels a little bit better just moving up in weight, whatever it is. But nonetheless, man, I see him a little bit different. Do I think it makes a huge difference, especially going into a higher weight class in cruiserweight, where everybody forgets that weight division even exists? Well, it depends. Is he going to go straight after a title? Should he go there and have 1 or 2 fights, first of all, to just see how he fits in? Because he's fighting Joe Smith. I mean, you're not even fighting a legitimate cruiserweight to step in now and say, like, all right, see, here I am in this division, throw me a champion. Well, you didn't even fight a cruiserweight yet. So let's get 1, 2 fights, and then we'll see what we can do at cruiserweight. I don't think Joe Apataya is one of them, and Badu Jack, I think those are 2 guys that he should stay away from. If he's just going to immediately try to jump into the championship picture, I say stay away from both of those guys. Even though Badu Jack is, 39, 40 years old, I would say stay away from those guys.
Okay.
But I would say, look, have a fight, maybe 2, see how comfortable you feel. And I think he will be a little bit more of a draw in the cruiserweight division, where it really, I mean, the cruiserweight division just lacks of star power. So bring a little bit more excitement. I'm somewhat excited to see him move up to cruiserweight.
Zurdo Ramirez bringing excitement to a division, man. Hey, Mario, let me preface it this way for you. So, once upon a time, Golden Boy, which is this promoter, wanted Eric Morales to become a 4-division champion. He didn't quite get it against David Diaz, but they gave it one more shot. Moved up to 140 pounds, and then they found an opponent for him who is still fighting today, a tough guy, but he wasn't amongst the best at 140. It was Cesar Pablo Cano. Eric Morales went on to win that fight, and they got to say, hey, he's a 4-division world champion.
Sure.
Can Golden Boy pull something out of the hat like that? Find somebody that Zurdo could fight and get him a world title in another division here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, honestly, if there's anybody that can do it, it's Golden Boy. I mean, at this point, you know, and you know, I know there's going to be like, for me to say this, I sound like a bitter boxing fan, but I don't mean it this way. It's just the way the world works, and I understand it better today, I think. And that is that politics plays such a huge part in who gets title opportunities and who doesn't. At this point, I wouldn't doubt the De La Hoya's power and ability in the sport to get things done. He doesn't put a little pressure on the WBC if Badu Jack's going to chase another belt to try to get something interim. You know, in the meantime, you know, Badu Jack at his age, coming back down in weight, shifting, moving up. I mean, first of all, you'd be okay fighting somebody doing that, I think, at his age. Second of all, it gives you the best version to beat a guy like Badu Jack coming back down. But if not, then they just turn the interim into the championship. So yeah, I think he could get a belt in so many different ways. And I really don't even think he needs to beat any of the 4 guys on the list to end up with some sort of trinket, some sort of belt that they can, you know, strap on him when he goes out there and serenaded by, some, mariachis or whatever. And I think ultimately this is what the cruiserweight division needed, right? Cruiserweight in our last, maybe 6, 7, 8 years has gotten really good. I mean, when we were at a point with Breedis, Huck, Glowacki, Usyk, I mean, it was like one of the best divisions in boxing that nobody talked about. And what we just got was an infusion of Zurdo, an infusion of a fighter who people are going to tune in to see. And even though I understand and 100% respect and agree with Cholo Trucker's assessment on this as far as what Zurdo needs to rightfully get his place, at the end of the day, that's not going to happen. And how many of these fighters like Apataya, who I agree he should stay away from, want to fight a Zurdo or are clamoring to get the kind of payday that they would be able to get, the kind of recognition, the kind of sellouts they'd be able to get? You know, how many of these guys are going to have the most eyeballs on them just fighting a Zurdo? So he does a lot of great stuff for the division, and the division can do a lot of great stuff for him.
100%. Lady Chan. We got a couple of cruiserweights out there in the UK. You know, we got, it's not. I think it's more well known there than it is here in the States anyway. What do you make of Zurdo Ramirez? Are you impressed? Do you think he's a legitimate threat to this division, and will he become a world champion in this division? In your opinion, en tu opinión?
In my opinion, okay. No, I don't think he's that much of a threat to the cruiserweight division. Does he bring a new vibe to it? Sure. I mean, we don't really see Mexican cruiserweight, so it's going to be an interesting thing to see. Am I usually amazed at how his performances pan out? No, I'm not. But was I very much impressed with this performance? Yes, I was. But there was nothing to gauge it from. This is that both 2 guys coming from 175 pounds, not career cruiserweights. So there was nothing to really gauge it on. Joe Smith Jr. coming off like a bad stoppage. Zurdo getting totally outboxed. I don't know if it was the weight that was a bother to him, but he seemed lighter on his feet. You don't really notice that he's a southpaw, to be honest, because he's kind of like an average southpaw. So he's not really technical or anything that you're going to fear. Yeah, so maybe they'll get him a trinket. I mean, that division is a boring division anyway, but it is stacked with a lot of Eastern Europeans who are fundamentally and technically sound, which Zurdo isn't. So, I mean, to be outpointed, it's not going to be hard for him to be outpointed in that division. Stay away from Jaya Pataya. Stay away from, I might put him with Richard Riakporhe. That may not fare well for any of them two together. So it's like a 50-50 fight. I'm going to need to see him with that type of level. Well, Richard Riakporhe is fringe world. Then we've got, I would have liked to see him with Jordan Thompson, but Jordan Thompson's got that shellacking. He's moved up to heavyweight, so he's like, no, I'm good.
What about Zurdo against Okoli?
Zurdo against Okoli, I think it might. God, that would be so boring, wouldn't it? Oh, God, that would be so boring.
Maybe it will cancel out and become like exciting, no?
Boring becomes exciting. I mean, Okoli is an Olympian. He is from Olympic stock, but he's boring. Maybe that would be a good gaugeometer, but I think he needs to settle and acclimate into the division. But I'm glad to see if this is where he wants to stay. Cool. I mean, but what I'm not impressed is that you've moved up a division and you're calling out Canelo and people that are no longer in your division. So what was the point of that? So it's a bit lame there. That's my spot.
Manny and Vivo Marrero, I'm going to tell you something. I want your reaction. Boxrec has Gilberto Ramirez as a #1 cruiserweight in the world. It's their point system, I guess. But what do you think, brother? And is he going to become a world champion, in your opinion? Will they find a way to get him a strap?
Well, first of all, Joe and D-Style, see, I'm not the only one that finds cruiserweight boring. All right, so y'all gave me a lot of shit last week when we were talking about Jaya Pataya. We was in a fight, right? So no, it's a forgotten. I mean, after Usyk left, it's just completely out. But anyway,
I think Joe just collateral damage. Joe didn't say anything. It was just me. But
but
guilty by association with you, kid.
But listen, man, we can't take away from the fact that first of all, Zurdo was the very first Mexican to win the super middleweight title, right? And so they defended that for 3 years, and then kind of parted ways a little bit. And he's back. He tried to get fight and moving up in the light heavyweights, and then it just couldn't happen. I mean, he got the fight that he wanted, that he earned. And unfortunately, he just came across a much bigger and stronger, Bivol. And I just don't think that at that particular time, he is going to be able to even fight Benavides. That's just no questions asked. So this is title chasing. And I agree with you. I mean, Oscar's just trying to get him another title. And what a better way to do it in the division that he's got great chances, right? So I think Jai might be a little bit caught up a little bit. I think that rematch may happen against Brady's. And so what a better way to get yourself inside the cruiserweight and fight someone that was a former champion, that has fought all these guys, at the cruiserweight, like El Cubano, Juniel Dorticos. He is 37 years old, right? He is the interim right now. And so, this is a good chance for him to have an opportunity to showcase what he can do at the cruiserweight division. I think that's a great entrance right now. You guys are right. Joe Smith, you can't take anything away from him. He's a brawler. He's going to bring it. And, a lot of people was talking about, no, he's going to get knocked down by Zurdo. No, he doesn't get knocked down by Zurdo. Come on, give me a break. I thought he was going to be a little slower, but right, Cholo's right, man. We'd see some movements. We'd see Zurdo doing some things that he wasn't able to do, against Bivol. And so with that, I think that he's probably going to gain more confidence on a division that he can definitely, get a title shot. And why not? Go after someone who's been there already, who has fought the majority of the guys right now. And then maybe, who knows, maybe he gets an opportunity with Arsen. I don't know, but I think this is the best chance for him to do it. And I'm happy for him. He's a good guy. He tries to be mean and, but he's just not. He's just soft spoken and tries to, and it just doesn't work out for him. But he's good for the sport and he's good for the cruiserweight. Am I still up
he
and down?
doesn't say it that way. He says, Viva Mexico.
Viva Mexico, cabrón.
He didn't say it with the pair of balls. He just whispers it like Viva Mexico.
He tries to be that guy, but he's not. But I think he can show a whole lot more than he can definitely speak. He's not a trash talker. He's not afraid of. It was great having him on our show at one point. I think it was fighting El Tigre down in Houston. But when it was good to hear what he wanted to accomplish after he had a lot of issues with the Golden Boys. So having seen him back and recover from that Bivol defeat, moving up and chasing a title in a division that he can, I think that's really good. And I like that. I like that for him. And I can't wait to see his next moves. But I believe that he does need to start fighting a lot of much better fighters, top-notch cruiserweights, not like Joe Smith. You guys said it all.
All right. Joe Beeb, right now the poll says 67% believe that he will win a cruiserweight title. Do you agree with the poll?
I absolutely do. I mean, the WBC title is vacant. Badu Jack vacated WBC title when he moved up to Bridgerweight. I like Chris Billum Smith, but I think he's a little rough around the edges. I could see Zurdo beating him. Even though Richard Riakporhe doesn't have a ton of experience, I really like him. I think he's got a ton of potential. I think he can punch. I think he's quick. I think he's versatile. I think he's a little sneaky on the inside, even though he's tall. He's got a little bit of an inside game too. I think the tough guy that I don't think anyone could beat is the Jaya Patai. And Marius Briedis is another tough guy if he comes back, because he's been off for a while. He looked really heavy last time I saw him, like at the zone fight.
Yeah, the Jai fight.
Was fighting. Yeah, the Patai fight.
I thought he was going to move up to heavyweight.
He wants the
rematch. He wants the rematch, though.
Well, I'm getting a little conflicting vibes from him because he looks like really heavy, and I could see him. I heard him saying he wanted to go up, and then I'm hearing Eddie Hearn say there could be a rematch. Something tells me he may go up to heavyweight. I have a feeling he's going to go up to heavyweight. So I don't think that anyone could beat Jaya Pattaya, but the rest of the division's wide open, I think. And I think, like I said, Richard Riakporhe's a dark horse in my opinion. Even though he doesn't have a lot of fights, I really like him. I think he's good. But yeah, he can definitely win a world title. You can even argue right now you could put him in the top 3 or 4.
Really?
In my opinion.
Stop.
In my opinion, I think, because I'll tell you, he could beat Goulamari. I think he could beat Billum Smith.
Riakporhe?
Riakporhe, maybe, maybe not.
Oh, wait, who are you talking about? I thought you were talking about Richard Riakporhe.
No. I'm talking about Ramirez.
Okay. I'm sorry. I was like, whoa.
I
mean, who would name 5 cruiserweights that you think would beat him decisively?
Well, you said top 3, so I mean,
Abatai, and honestly, I agree with you. I don't.
No, I said top 3 or 4. So yeah, let's name 3 that beat him. Breedis if he comes back down. Jaya Pattaya.
Riakporhe.
Maybe.
What about Akoli, Beeb?
Maybe.
I don't think Akoli beats him.
I can't say definitively he doesn't. So
that's a close. I think that's a pretty. That's a toss-up fight to me right now.
Maybe top 4 or 5 will go. How's that?
Okay. 6.
Well, boxing scene, BoxRec's already got him number 1. Just so y'all know.
I know BoxRec is cap.
Look, I mean, if I'm Golden Boy, if I'm Golden Boy, I try to make that Makabu fight for the vacant belt, and that's his way to get it.
Yeah, that's possible.
Is it vacant though?
Like I said,
isn't there vacant?
He hasn't vacated it yet.
No, it's still listed as the champion on the WBC's official website.
But it was released that he said he vacated it. So.
Listen, Tszyu said he retired and vacated, and all of a sudden he's the champion still. So
it was reported.
No, and I believe that it was reported the way you say. My trust is not in you. Our distrust is not in you. My distrust is in the sanctioning bodies who make up their own rules as they go. And that's the kind of thing. I think that it favors Zurdo right now because it's like, well, is he vacated? No. Oh, but Zurdo needs the title. Oh yeah, he vacated. My bad. That's right. He did vacate. You know what I mean? It's like one of those things.
I don't know if the ratings have been updated yet. I don't know.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
If the question is, does he become a champion at some point? Yes, I do believe he becomes champion at some point. He's got Golden Boy with him. He's able to take him down the right avenue.
Yeah, I think so.
In the next year, or because I don't see it within the next year.
I'll be honest. I'll tell you guys who I would pick him over. I think he would beat Billum Smith. I think he would beat Akoli. With all due respect, I'm not crazy about Akoli's style.
Sure.
I think he would beat Goulamarian, right? There's only 2 guys I could probably say that would definitively beat him.
Pattaya.
And that would be Pattaya and Breedis. But I probably would pick Riakporhe because I'm really high on that guy. I think he can really fight. But again, it's still on paper a 50-50 fight.
We don't know for sure. Yeah.
Don't know for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would pick Riakporhe though.
All right, man. Let us know what you guys think. I'll leave that poll up for a little bit. It's at 72% yes, 28% no. Thanks for voting, guys. Let's go ahead and proceed here. We got a fight in the Gold Coast of Australia. It is Tszyu defending his WBO Junior Middleweight Championship against the one and only Bryan Mendoza, who earned a shot, or got this opportunity because of his last 2 wins against Rosario, and then of course knocked out the Towering Inferno in a big upset. And there you go, Beeb. Who do you think is going to win this fight, brother?
I like Tszyu in this fight, and I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think it's going to be crazy. I think you and I agree on this. I don't think it's going to be crazy competitive, but it could be entertaining for as long as it lasts. I like Mendoza, but I just think Tim has an advantage in just about every category here, except for, I mean, could you say Mendoza's a heavier puncher? I don't know. I mean, he's got some knockouts, but outside of that Fondora fight, does he have that one-hitter quitter? I don't know, but Tszyu, I think, is the more accurate, sharper puncher. I think he's a more versatile of the two. Tszyu is a good counter puncher. He can beat you backing up as well as going forward. Changes levels well. I just think Mendoza is going to have a hard time timing Tszyu, and I just think that Tszyu is going to be able to just piece him up. I think he's going to be able to put the shots together, and I think as the fight wears on, I think he's just going to break him down and stop him.
Okay,
probably,
all right.
Probably by 8 rounds.
And let me ask you this follow up here, because I know you did a little short where you said you believe Jai Opetaia is a better fighter than Tszyu in your opinion.
Yeah.
At least, and I'm assuming you're basing that off of the eye test, and of course he has that big win over Breidas.
Yeah, off the eye
plus,
test.
Plus, probably a bigger win with the Breidas win, if we're honest. But is there anything Tszyu can do in your eyes in this fight that could put him, above Jai as a better fighter in your opinion? Is there anything you could do where, like, wow, Tim was even better than I thought in a performance against Mendoza?
Even though I think Jai's better than Tim, it's not like I don't think he's leaps and bounds and miles ahead of him. I just think that he just has, when I watch him, he just appears to me to just have more natural ability, athleticism. I just think he's just more physically gifted, and he's very smart as well. Jai is a very crafty guy, and he can punch. So I think Jai does have the one-hitter quitter. He can punch, right? But Tim is in that division where, like, 154, if he goes up to like 160, he's dead. But if Tim eventually goes up to like maybe 168, 154 is a red hot division. So he'll have like better matchups where people will say, well, his resume is better than Jai's because cruiserweight's not crazy, right? But 154 has been pretty hot for a while, right? So people will say, like, oh, well, Tim's got the better resume, so he's better. So there's going to be that argument, but I sometimes I'll just look at a guy and I'll just be like, this guy to me is just a very talented guy. Like, I just think he's more skilled than this guy. Like, for instance, when Terrence Crawford, I always thought had a good resume, but he never had the resume of Canelo. So when people were rating Canelo and who's the best pound for pound, I hate pound for pound, but a lot of people would just look at Canelo's resume and say, well, he's better than Crawford based off of who he's fought. But when I always saw Crawford, I just looked at Crawford. I always thought he was more talented than Canelo. I thought he could do more things. I just thought he was more athletically gifted. I have that same feeling about Jai Opetaia in comparison to Tszyu. And that's no knock on Tszyu. He's very talented too. But I just think Jai has that kind of special it factor quality in terms of just that explosiveness he has and just the quickness of hands and feet. I don't think that Tszyu has those quick feet like Jai does. I just don't think he's as explosive and as athletic as Jai when I watch him.
All right, okay. Manny Marrero, let's talk about Tszyu versus Bryan Mendoza, La Bala, against the Soul Taker. Who's going to take whose soul on Saturday in Australia?
I mean, shocking, because that was supposed to be Fondora. And so, Bryan Mendoza did what it had to do. And so I knew eventually Fondora was going to fall apart somehow. I mean, he's just too tall, and sometimes he just gets right open and just Came in across much better Mendoza at that night. But here's the thing, though. Even Charlo being on top, I think the best contender out there, all right, at middleweight, it's Tszyu. No questions asked. I mean, look at Crawford. The way he talks about him, he's dangerous. He really is. And if you think about it right now, is his sole purpose right now is to become undisputed. And whether Charlo will give him that chance or not, he wants no piece of that, right? So he's just gonna have to go back again and start from scratch now that he's got the title. And I just don't think that it was kind of like given away like some of the boxers. They get emails and you're the champion now and all that. I think he did earn it, and I think he had the shot to do so. It's just Charlo decided to go for the money, and which is no problem with that. And so now Tszyu needs to start grinding. Listen, Australia is just growing so much right now when it comes to the boxers right now, and with Apataya. And then obviously Kambosos is still in the mix, and he's probably the guy that makes the most money out there. But the second one, it's going to be Tszyu. And so he's going to lift out Australia, and he's going to be great at the 154 pounds to the point that he can probably beat anyone at this particular time in the weight. No questions asked. He's got the pedigree. All right. He's got the dedication, the passion. He's got the fans, and he's earning fans around the world with his style. All right. And it just is in his short career, still 28 years old, but the IQ and that he's got inside the ring and the way he adapts to the opponent, it's just really, really good to see. I see him like a small little bird beep, right? Someone that's very aggressive, attacking in the pocket at all times, being very cautious, not getting caught, but at the same time, he's got some pretty good power. As he continues to get developed and starts fighting more bigger opponents, better opponents, he's going to really showcase who he really is. And I think people are going to be very surprised what Tszyu can do there. And I think a lot of people right now, and this is what I like about it, a lot of people right now are taking his father away from the equation, right? Because when you're a son of a legend like Tszyu, right, they're going to look at you like that. And I think right now, to be honest, and I don't know if you guys agree with me or not, but his father is much out of the question. This is Tszyu time, right? Got the pedigree, got the experience, right? And he's got an amazing corner. What better way to do it than start with Mendoza and see what happens later on?
100%. Lady Chan. So it's another fight in his home country for Tszyu. He's been in a row. Can this be a spoiler? Can Mendoza spoil the party here? What do you think's going to happen in this fight?
It's a good fight. Bryan Mendoza, hard hitter. I've been watching some bits and pieces of him. Wasn't entirely well versed on the Bryan Mendoza, but what I have caught on to is that how hard he hits. He has a great uppercut. His uppercut is. He's got the power that turns the lights off. Tszyu, more. He's got respectable power as well, but more fundamentally sound than Bryan Mendoza. Bryan Mendoza, he should be called Bryan Bulldozer. He does come to mow you down. He does. So, I mean, it's going to be a great fight. I mean, the Fundora thing was just a craziness to watch. But just like Manny said, it was something that we was all anticipating that was going to happen. So it's going to be an interesting fight. It's going to make a lot of money in Australia, and it will be nice to also have, to have Tszyu fight in. How many times Tszyu fought? How many times has he fought in the US? Is most of his career?
I believe only once or twice.
Once or twice.
Like twice, I think.
Twice. Yeah. So what would you lot guys think if this would for some reason a draw? Would you like to see then the second fight happen in the States? Do you think it could possibly be a draw? I'm going with the favorite here.
I think he said, Tszyu, if I'm not mistaken, that this will be his last fight in Australia for a while, and he wants to start fighting more.
He said that. Yeah, he said that this week.
They've been saying that for a while, actually.
Yeah.
For a while, they've been saying we really only went to Australia because the Charlo thing fell through, but they want to fight in the U.S.
So I think you'll see him in the U.S.
We'll start to see him there anyway, and start to make him over there. But like Manny said, I think he is a parting away from being, being associated by the great Costa. He is only one of the few sons of the legends that we can actually say this guy is a talented fighter, because a lot of the sons of the legends are not as great unfortunately, as their fathers. Not even button un poquito. No, none.
Poquito.
Sí, nada. I'm very excited watching him, and yeah. So I just no, it won't. It may not be a draw, Batman, but I was just saying, just in case it was, what do we think? But I'm definitely going for Tim Tszyu. And I don't think it's going to be a knockout. I'm going to think it's a comfortable point decision.
Okay. All right. Okay. Mario Munguia, talk to us. Tim Tszyu in his backyard. He's already fought in his backyard. There's no pressure there. But for Mendoza, is he going to feel the moment here? Yes, he fought the Tower Inferno, but it was like a half-empty tennis court arena. Now he's going to be fighting in front of a packed crowd. You know how No Limit does it with the flames and all that good stuff. So is he going to be ready for this moment, in your opinion? And who do you think is going to win?
Listen, I think he will be ready for the moment, and I don't think that anyone should undervalue what you just said after watching Mel and Canelo, because I do think that the lights and the brightness and all that is something that you have to contend with at that level. When you're a fighter and you're working on the fundamentals and the skills and all those things, you know, that's one thing, right? You have to have that hammered in your brain so much that it becomes secondhand, firsthand nature. It's just mental repetitions, right? Because when those lights are brighter than they've ever been, and when that crowd is louder than you've ever heard it, believe me, the nerves are real. And it doesn't matter if you're a professional athlete, a novice athlete, amateur, high school, middle school, it doesn't matter. Nobody shakes those off without experience. Nobody can know what that feeling is like until they're in that moment. Now, everybody here has said everything that I would have said. I feel the exact same way about Tim Tszyu, so I'm not going to waste the panel's time by repeating all that. What I will say is this. To give Mendoza one thing, I think Tim Tszyu is built different. He's a different type of fighter. He's a guy who could have waited for Mel and could have, you know, stalled and kept his belt and hit it in Australia and fought those fights like Chris John did for all those years. And he could have done that and waited until the right, perfect moment to strike in America. And he isn't. He's fighting the toughest fights that he can find. Bryan Mendoza is not an easy fight. And I understand everybody here is saying that Mendoza's outclassed and Tszyu is better, and I understand and I agree, but again, this comes down to the fight itself. Styles make fights, okay? You have to go in there and you can have your game plan, but what happens when the guy hits you back? And Tim Tszyu is built of a certain accord that makes me think that he can be suckered into something. If Mendoza catches him with something, makes him look bad in front of that crowd, and you hear that loud, oh, that is, I think, the kind of thing that could get maybe not Tim Tszyu rattled, but slightly out of his game plan for a while, maybe want to get back, who knows? But those could be the moments that Bryan Mendoza capitalizes off of. I don't think he is going to win this fight, but I don't think that anyone should give him no chance at all. And I'll be honest, if those odds were a little higher, I might just put 20, 30 bucks on Bryan Mendoza. You know, right now he's at like a 4 something. I think it was like a 440, 460. And that's just under what I feel comfortable taking a shot. By no means am I suggesting anybody go out there and put, you know, real money on Bryan Mendoza, but I'm just looking at the value there. And you know, 400's just out of the range. If it was like 550, 600 for sure. Knowing Tim Tszyu is going to win, knowing I feel comfortable picking him, knowing that this panel of some of the best minds, you know, in boxing is all picking Tim Tszyu, I'd still put that money for the value. That's how much I believe in the kinds of fights that Bryan Mendoza is capable of producing. Yes, he is outgunned, but the fight script is what's going to count.
All right. Cholo, people keep bringing up the fact that I hear this in a lot of breakdowns. Say Tim Tszyu was there to get hit. He got knocked down by Gachet. Maybe Mendoza hits a little harder. Maybe there's a possible upset here. Do you think there's something to that? And who do you think is going to win this fight?
Oh man! First of all, that Fundora fight and with Mendoza that happened in Carson, California, and that little tennis court. I'm gonna tell everybody this: that is the best place as a fan to watch a fight, man. I'm telling you guys that, man. Yeah, again, like the panel, I'm gonna go Tim Tszyu on this one. I get it; it was supposed to be Fundora. I agree with Manny wholeheartedly. Eventually, you know, Fundora's a nice little story and everything, but eventually he was gonna get caught. The guy's made out of toothpicks, and he does not use his size to his advantage. He does not. and he was definitely going to get caught. It just happened to be Mendoza in the ring to do it. I'm kind of reminded of the movie Creed, when Creed asked him, "Hey, what do you think about my father, Apollo?" And Rocky said, the best in the world, the best fighter." He's all like, "Wow, if he's the best, how'd you beat him?" "Oh, no, time beat him. I just happened to be in the ring." Um,
Love that.
Eventually, that was going to happen to Fundora. I'm not saying Fundora is Apollo Creed. I'm just saying eventually that is exactly what was going to happen to him. It just happened to be Mendoza to do it. I don't want to take anything away from Mendoza. I agree with Mario, man. Look, he's in the fight. The guy's a gladiator. The guy's a warrior. He's going into hostile territory. He's going into the Thunder Down Under. And I just, all the odds are stacked against him. He's gonna have to dominate if he's gonna come out with a victory, if it goes the distance, or he's gonna have to drop him a few times or stop him. Do I think he can do that? Man, I wouldn't put money on it. Maybe I'll take Mario's advice and maybe put a little bit on it, not a lot, but it's definitely worth the bet. No, I got Tszyu on this. And if Tszyu is thinking of coming to the United States, the time to break that ground would be with Mel, because I still don't think Tim Tszyu sells in the United States without that right dance partner. So what he is in Australia, treated like a superstar, if he wants to come and fight in the United States, just get ready to be thrown in the back seat, my man. Okay, because that's exactly what's going to happen unless you fight Jermell Charlo, which I don't think that we ever see that fight. I don't think that fight ever happens. But just get ready for a culture shock. You're going to come over here and fight at that tennis stadium, which I'm a big fan of, and I'll be there to watch you fight, man. So whatever it is, I'll be there cheering you on, Tim Tszyu. But I got Tim Tszyu. Do I think it's a stoppage? No, I think it goes the distance, but I think Tim
Okay.
Tszyu comes out with the victory. Absolutely.
All right. By the way, guys,
Also,
make sure.
last Showtime, is that what is this week? Are we getting our last Showtime card ever? That's something I didn't think about until now.
Not sure. Something to think about for
The
sure.
last
but
one scheduled.
we have a couple more months, so I'm not sure about that. But really quick,
Rick Lacer.
by the way, guys, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you hit the like button. If you haven't already, let's get to 50 likes ASAP. I know you guys can do it. 60 by the end of the show, if not 70. That'll make me even more happy. You know what I mean? There's a poll, Gail. The poll in the chat, 62% are saying Tim Tszyu by knockout, 27% Tim Tszyu by decision, 8% Mendoza KO, 4% Mendoza decision. Do you agree with the chat's majority here, Tim Tszyu by KO, or do you see something different in this fight?
I do. And I certainly don't want to denigrate Bryan Mendoza and what he's been able to achieve. He really has been a bit of an overachiever. He's scored several upsets. He's riding high, the Cinderella of the division. But come this weekend in Australia, I think the clock's going to hit midnight for Mr. Mendoza. I think that's as far right as he can take it. And good for him. I hope he's enjoyed it. I think it will be an attrition-style TKO in the later rounds for Tszyu. There's no way Mendoza wins a decision in Australia. It's just not going to happen. I was impressed that Tszyu took 3 weeks plus to come to Las Vegas to train for this fight because he wanted higher-level sparring. And he's made a lot of rounds in Las Vegas. A lot of folks are chatting him up. I've had a chance to watch him, hang with him. If he's going to fight in the United States, I agree. Would I love to see him in Carson? Oh my God, yes. What a forum that'd be for him. But no, he's going straight to Las Vegas. There are still a lot of his father's fans. He can build on that. But what's my name is his attitude. And, in a lot of ways, positive ways, he's a complete throwback. He stays busy. He's all attitude based on the confidence he has in himself, which clearly, that kind of confidence, frankly, I think you're born with it. It's in your DNA. And he does everything to support it and execute. And I am looking forward to this fight. I hope Bryan gives a good account of himself. You know, a great fight takes a great dance partner, even in a loss. So let's hope that they really both shine, entertain the fans, and remind people what boxing can be all about.
Look, I've been high on Tim Tszyu. I was picking him to beat Charlo when the fight was originally scheduled. So was B, by the way. I picked him to win by dominating fashion against Harrison when people were calling it a 50-50 fight. I thought it was going to blast through, Ocampo. And while Bryan Mendoza is a tough guy here from the Southwest, Albuquerque, stand up. He's a tough guy. He ain't going to go out like Ocampo. I could tell you that. Like, he's going to do better than that. Okay, no doubt about it. And I think he's going to put up more resistance than Harrison. So it's going to be a better fight. And I think it's going to be a good fight. But what people need to understand that Mendoza could also box a little bit. He's not just a come forward guy. If you watch the fight with Ramos, the rounds he won against Ramos, he was boxing. He was kind of moving around the ring a little bit. And Dave from the 408, or he's not 408 anymore, I apologize. Dave from Vegas, okay, and myself interviewed Ramos, and he said, look, he's got some underrated boxing skills, Mendoza. Like, people don't think of him that way, but he could box in there. And he's sneaky, and he has pretty good power that he felt he had to respect. So I think Tim's was taking him serious in his fight. And one thing I want to say is this. Shout out to Ness from the Boxing Voice. Mario was actually there as well, and I think Joe was as well. But we had the opportunity to interview, Tim Tszyu, and I got to ask some questions. The first question I asked him was, and this was about 3 years ago, what do you have to do to kind of embrace your father's legacy and be proud of him and what he's done, but at the same time, what do you have to do to get out of that shadow, right? And he gave a phenomenal answer. He said, I just need an opportunity to fight the best. That's it. That's the only way I'm going to get out of my dad's shadow. I need to prove to people that I am who I think I am, and that's basically what he told me. Not in those words, but that's basically what he said, and that's what he's been doing. That's the trajectory he's been going. He wanted Charlo. Charlo went another way. He went after who people said was the second best guy in Harrison. Dominated him, and people are still questioning him. People still bring up the knockdown in the Gaché fight because he was knocked. It was a flash knockdown, guys. He got back up and won the rest of the fight. When he got back up, I didn't give Gaché one round after that. You know what that tells me? That tells me he made an adjustment. That's what that tells me. That tells me Gaché couldn't catch him with that shot anymore. If Gaché couldn't land him, what makes you think he's prone to that shot? And I think one thing that's overstated, in my opinion, and I admit I'm very biased towards Tim Tszyu because I've been a big fan of Tim Tszyu for a while. One thing that's overstated is that he has poor defense. I don't believe that at all, actually. He doesn't strike me as a, Bondura out there just getting hit left and right, or he doesn't strike me as like, a lot of these other fighters I see that their heads how often do you see his head get snapped back, or like how often do you see him just get hit with more than 3 shots consecutively or 2 shots consecutively? All right. How often? Not often. I got Tim Tszyu winning this fight big. I got at least 2-3 knockdowns for Tim Tszyu in this fight, and I think the ref's going to step in. I think the warrior that Mendoza is, he's going to want to keep fighting. He'll probably protest the stoppage, but I think it's going to be a good stoppage, and I think Tim Tszyu stops Bryan Mendoza in his fight. I'm going by mid to late round stoppage. That's what I see in the fight. You guys in the chat, let me know. It looks like the at least the poll agrees with me, but polls don't decide fights. The ring does, and they're going to settle it on Saturday. You could catch it on Showtime. And will that be the last one, Mario? I don't know, Mario. All right.
We'll see. I hope not, but we'll see, I guess.
There's no fight at 154 for Tim Tszyu that would put him to be the best other than Mel. And like I said, that fight is not going to happen. That's not Tim Tszyu's fault. But unfortunately, He's just going to keep on fighting guys that are not named Jermell Charlo. And let's see if he gets all that credit or not.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we'll see where it goes, man. I thought Ramos would be that guy next year, but unfortunately he lost. So it didn't pan that way. I don't know what happened, but we'll see where it goes. Maybe it will be Mel, because nobody wants to see Mel fight anybody but Tszyu, it seems right now. They're kind of like, well, you're going to prove yourself. Go fight Tim Tszyu. That's what I'm hearing a lot of, right? So
I hope it
He
happens.
should. He should. I mean, what do you want to do? You want to call Crawford now? What is that? What you're looking for? Another payday and just show up to just show up? So I know. I think Charlo can definitely earn back again what he had, especially when he fought Castaño twice. And the second.
What about Lubin?
Lubin
against Tim Tszyu?
Lubin?
Lubin?
I mean, it'll be a good fight, but it doesn't, like you said, it doesn't put him into the level of like wow, he is, you know what I mean. So I think Charlo, it's one of those, and I just don't see him. I probably see him dominating that, and maybe eventually moving up, and probably prove himself at 160.
Yeah, 100%.
Maybe that's the case. But I agree, it's not his fault. It's not. And I think right now he knows and understands that. He says, listen, I'm going to stop the critics with my talent, with my skills, and the way I take one fight at a time. That's all he can do.
Yeah, because it's going to go down that you never actually beat the champion, which wasn't
his fault.
Which is Mel.
The champion ducked.
Not
right.
his
Yes, right.
Well, look, I will say one more thing I want to say. Glenn Jennings did confirm, and this was on Glenn Hoskins' channel, friend of the show from Boxing Deep Dive. He's been on the roundtable several times. This was about a month and a half ago. Confirmed. We are all in going to Vegas. That they're very they want to fight in the United States. That's something they've been wanting to do. So whether that happens or not, I'm not sure. The economics of things have changed things, of course, but that is their plan at least. So we'll see. We'll see where it goes from there. Let's go ahead and proceed. Ladies. By the way, if you guys haven't already, hit the like button. David Benavides, Demetrius Andrade, or Andrade, or however you want to say it. November 25th on pay-per-view.
I hear a lot about Andrade. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure, brother. But look, but really quick, November 25th on pay-per-view. There was a kickoff press conference today. If you got to watch it, you can let us know what he thought about that. But if not, just in general, what do you think about this fight? Lady Chan, let's start with you. It's on pay-per-view in the U.S. at least. We're going to have to fork out $85 here in the U.S. with tax.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like $95 here in Texas. You know what I mean? Would Lady Chan fork out that money for Andrade and Benavides?
Well, our pay-per-views are never that amount. So, ours are like $20. So,
wow.
Stop bragging. Don't rub it in.
Rub it in, lady.
Rule Britannia all the way.
What do you think, lady? Are you excited? Are you are you pumped?
I don't know. Obviously, I'm going to watch it. Andrade.
That's a no. That's a no. That's a no. I don't know. I guess. Can we go ahead?
Because it's just so drawn out that of what's happened to Andrade. I'm so over him at this point. Bless him. He's just not been able to get any marquee fights. So I guess this is going to be his marquee fight at the age of 36. Kind of like Crawford, your marquee fight at 35, 36. But hardly achieved as much as Crawford. I mean, if I would have pitched Andrade to definitely beat David Benavides, if this was a 32-year-old Andrade, 33-year-old, I've just seen that his legs are gone. I don't think he has the same footwork anymore. So that's just going to pose a problem. But he is awkward as well. David Benavides, I'm not that high on him. Any ask anyone, I'm not high on David Benavides at all. I just think he's so overhyped. Just so overhyped. I mean, but the attributes that he does have, I mean, he gets better as the fight goes on. He's got an engine. He's got power. He's the big lad. It's just about Andrade being able to outbox him, which I don't think he will be able to do so. So I'm pitching it that we're going to get a David Benavides win.
All right. Okay.
Mm.
Gail, what's your reaction to this fight? The fact that it's on pay-per-view, and were you able to catch any of the press conference?
I did catch some of the press conference, and I got to confess, I was hoping for a little trash talk. I was hoping for a little bit of positive friction, and it was very little. Both went down the road of, oh yeah, no, it's not going to be an easy fight. Oh my, I respect my opponent, but at the end of the day, I'm going to win. Benavides pushed the envelope a little bit more than Andrade did, so we'll see what happens. But you know what? We should by now, we have seen several examples of fights made where one of the opponents has been fairly inactive and got taken down. Errol Spence being the last example. Same thing's going to happen to Boo Boo. Boo Boo has had, by the time the fight takes place in November, he's had 2 fights in 2 years, and they weren't barn burner opponents. He may look good early, and he does have tremendous technical skills, but I think we're going to see the typical Benavides fight. He starts slow, he builds up speed, he heats up, and boom, suddenly he's all over his opponent. And it will not be a spectacular one-hitter type knockout. Andrade is a little too cautious for that, but I do think David will swarm him several times. He'll escape, regroup, get smacked again, regroup, get smacked again, and about 10th or 11th round, it'll be done. But he'll have his Vegas fight. He'll have a payday. It isn't a Canelo payday, but at least he's gotten a marquee fight for himself.
Okay.
I just don't think he can. I just don't think he can overcome Benavides whatsoever. But come on, guys, give me a little more heat in the trash talk arena, at least.
Well, look, speaking of heat, Joe, I know it's kind of unspoken. Everyone's kind of assuming that the winner probably maybe gets Canelo in May, but do you think it should be like maybe more explicit? Maybe would it help sell the fight if everyone knew that the winner of this fight is going to get Canelo?
Tom Brown pretty much said it. He goes, the winner of this fight's the front runner for the Canelo fight. He said it right at the beginning of the press conference, whether that you can take that as being definitive or not, but he heavily implied it. I didn't think there was going to be much heat when they first came out and they extended each other's hand and they shook hands. Right then and there, I kind of knew that was like, all right, we're going to be cool today. Every time I see like a press conference when there's just 2 chairs and there's no table, it's kind of like low budget. So I right then like kind of like this ain't going to be too much of a press conference, right? And all Andre did the whole press conference was like telling everyone, make sure you buy the pay-per-view, make sure you buy the pay-per-view, make sure you buy the pay-per-view, don't stream it, don't stream it, don't stream it. So right then and there, it's like it's almost like he's kind of overemphasizing. I'm happy I finally got a big money fight. It's been a while.
Be here.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly the feeling I got, Lady Chen. Like he's just happy to be here, and I don't want to paint that picture because hopefully I'm wrong. But that's kind of what I got from this press conference. That maybe he's just happy to be here. One thing I will say is, I was very impressed with David Benavides the way he looked. Like he looked in shape already. Like he looked like he was training, working hard. And I will say, like David Benavides has had some hiccups along the way, with some of the issues he's had in the past. But I think right now he seems like he's really dialed in. He's heavily focused on his career. I think moving forward, we're going to see the best of what David Benavides can offer. And I think he's going to get better and better. I know a lot of people aren't crazy about him. I've always been high on the kid. I think another one of those guys I just look at and I'm like, wow, this guy's got some things that I think are special. And I just think that he needs to just harness all those qualities and attributes and be consistent with it. But yeah, I think that this fight is going to be interesting early. I think as Gail said, and I think as Lady Chan said, but again, once that engine starts heating up, we know he gets better as the rounds go on. And usually when you're on the other side of that and you see this guy coming at you, that, as probably Malinaji likes to say, it not only beats you down physically, but it beats you down mentally. And once that adrenaline is being sapped from you from both ends, you just. So yeah, I do envision a late stoppage here. I think the biggest difference here is going to be the inside fighting. I know Andre doesn't like to fight on the inside, and he's going to try to escape, like Gail said. He's going to like get close hold and then try to escape. He's not going to want to have to fight at close quarters and be put in a position where he has to fight David off, because I don't think he feels that he'll be able to do that. So yeah,
he ain't got the legs anymore, Beeb. He ain't even got the legs anymore.
He doesn't move a lot anyways. He's defensive and stuff and holds and stuff, but he doesn't move a lot. He's not an excessive mover, so he'll be in harm's way. He's not like a Lara type.
No, he's not as movement as Lara, but he does depend a lot on his legs for certain.
Yeah. He can be negative. He can be negative at times. He definitely can be negative at times.
Don't put it.
Yeah.
No.
But yeah, I do think David will get the late stoppage here, and I'm gonna buy the pay-per-view. Unfortunately,
it's going to be a stoppage. It's a knockout. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what it will go.
I think it'll be a stoppage. I think it'll be a stoppage. I think it'll be an accumulation. I think it'll be an accumulation stoppage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Cholo Trucker, did you get to catch it in the press conference? And what do you think? What do you make of it? And is Cholo Trucker going to fork out his hard-earned money to buy this fight?
Yeah, no, I was actually watching another press conference. But am I excited for this fight? Do I want this fight to happen? Yes, definitely. I do want to watch this fight. Is this fight worth paying $84.99 to watch? No, definitely not. It is not worth that money. If we were just just have it on regular Showtime or something, then it makes all the sense in the world. But no, I am excited for this matchup, for this fight, and I think they do need to start throwing in Canelo's name just a little bit more to try to sell it a little bit better, right? It's like, hey, the two guys that Canelo hasn't fought, the two guys that Canelo is ducking or afraid of, throw something out there like that, right? Just to kind of twist the knife a little bit, and maybe both of those guys should mention Canelo's name just to sell the fight a little bit more, right? I think people are not giving Bubu Andrade a chance on this one, man. Now, am I going to go with Bubu Andrade? No, I'm not. However, Andrade, his skill is to pretty much make it a very boring fight where you have somewhat of an exciting fighter in Benavides because of his fast combinations. I think Bubu can probably, stop that a little bit, whether he holds, whether he just keeps it in the far distant, make it a little bit boring. I don't think we're going to see an exciting fight. I don't think it's a stoppage. I think it goes the distance. I think it goes to the judges. And possibly maybe some sort of a not controversial decision where they're going to give it to Bubu Andrade, but maybe something like a split decision where it's like, hey, whoa, what was that judge watching? How did he score it like that? Even though the winner did win the fight, how did that one judge, or how did both of these judges over here, have it that close? That's not what happened. But no, I think Bubu Andrade is going to work his magic and make it a boring fight, and everybody's going to be pissed off because they, busted out $85.99 at the end of it. And at the end of that, we're not going to see a great fight. But I'm also throwing this out there. And D, you know this, man. I spoke with you last week about it. It might, for me, a little bit, kind of makes a little bit more sense if Bubu Andrade wins this fight and he gets the Canelo matchup first. At least for me, in my fairy tale La La Land, it makes a little bit more sense. And then Benavides could run it with Canelo later on in next year, maybe in September. But I don't think that's going to happen because I do believe Benavides is going to get the victory.
Cholo Trucker just said, in my fairy tale, in my perfect world, Andrade wins and we get Canelo Andrade in May. That's what? Hey, it's your world, brother.
It'll make more sense to me for Benavides to suffer that loss and have two comeback fights after that loss. One of them being Jamal Charlo at 168 to build the Benavides Canelo match in September, and the fight with Boo Boo, that is a Boo Boo after getting a victory over Benavides.
Interesante, muy extraño
Oh,
también.
Yo, there you go,
wow.
compa.
Are you selling
I like
tickets?
your world.
Tickets to go to your fairy tale?
Hey, compa, I'll
world?
take it. I'll take
I'd
it.
love
I'll
to
be
be
there.
there.
I love
I'll
to
be there.
It's a great scenario outside of the like we gotta watch
Oh no, that
Andrade.
was a great one.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
tickets,
Cholo,
the tickets to this
Cholo, we're gonna
very
get you a book deal. We're gonna get you a nice book deal where you can write your comments.
The alternative
the fairy
story.
tale is $84.99. So
There you go. That's a quantum realm alternative version.
Cholo's fairy tale. That's what the book's
Nice.
called.
I like it.
So let's talk to Mario Mungi. Mario, did you get to watch the press conference? And if not, that's fine. But what do you think of this? 85 is Mario Mungi gonna take out his wallet and fork out $85 to watch this fight? Or better yet, are you gonna make the trip, buy the ticket, go to Vegas or wherever it's gonna be, right? And go watch it in person, right? Are you pumped up for this fight?
Listen, I am actually. I'm gonna be the weirdo on this. Me and Cholo Trucker, compa, we're there, right there. I honestly, I'm excited. I am, and I'm not excited it's a pay-per-view, and I don't want to spend $85. I never, who does, right? But listen, I understand where Showtime's at in their business model, and this fight either happens on pay-per-view or it doesn't happen at all. That's the actual scenario. Now, you can look at me and say that I'm being overly pessimistic or optimistic. I don't know, but you can say anything against it. But I promise you, like, Showtime has put themselves in a position where these fights, like that's all they can do now, and hopefully something changes next year, whether it's Amazon Prime or Paramount or whoever. But right now, this is kind of the hole that's been dug. And I would have gone if it was in San Antonio. I would have gone if it was in Dallas. I would have gone if it was in Houston. In fact, I had sources very close that said that it was very close to being in San Antonio. I was this close to ready to report it. Thank God I didn't. But am I going to go to Vegas? No. I will pay the money to watch two guys who are not raising their hand to Canelo saying, me, over here, me, look at me. Like, no, that's not. I would rather watch two guys that are willing to say, nah, you know what? I'm going to earn it. I'm going to beat the guy that nobody wanted to fight at junior middleweight, at middleweight. The Charlos refused to fight him how many times? Okay. I want to see the guy that's finally got the balls to step up and fight Demetrius Andrade. That is the Mexican monster. Give respect to the guy that's going to go in and fight a guy who, by the way, you're all correct. It is going to be one of the most awkward fights. David Benavides is putting himself in a position where he cannot go out there and score this massive knockout because Andrade is too awkward. He's too difficult. He doesn't take a lot of risks, like Gail said. And so all of that goes into the fact that he's not just getting Angulo to knock him out silly so that they can hype the Canelo fight. That's not what's happening. PBC is finally doing something that we can all get behind, and they're giving two guys that you could make an argument deserve Canelo next, and they're making them fight each other. That's what we've wanted this whole time. We didn't want somebody to just get a gift from the UK because he signed with Eddie or fight Chavez because it's Mexican versus Mexican. Like, these are fights that you're earning to win. And that's how I grew up. That's when I was a kid watching Don King fights, and the guys on the undercard we knew were going to win, or who would win and go on to fight the main event. That's how you build consistency. That's how you build continuity in the sport. And that's why people love wrestling. And that's why people love NFL and NBA, because their championships matter. You remember who won. You say, oh, the Houston Astros won this time and they are cheats, so we're going to get them next year, and blah, blah, blah. And it all goes on. But with boxing, too many times champions just disappear and nobody knows why. This is a situation where the winner gets Canelo, and I love it.
Okay, all right. Manny, this is the poll.
Amen.
Manny Marrero en vivo. The poll says 64% will not buy the fight. 36%, however, saying that they will buy the fight, according to the poll in the chat. Are you one of the people that are going to buy it or not buy it? And what do you think of the fight, brother?
Or this is where I'm going to say, hey, guys, I'm going to have food at home, arroz, habichuela, pollo, lo que sea, and we're just going to chip in. all right, and we're gonna get the fight. You know, it's $5 each, maybe what 15, 20 guys there, who knows? But here's the thing, man.
Good luck finding 20 dudes to pitch in.
if there's someone out there that his career it's been overshadowed and he has had it really tough to make a name of himself, to Boo Andrade. He has tried the best he can. He doesn't get the fights that people want him to get. Nobody really seems to want to fight him. Whether I don't think no one's ducking him, but they just don't feel like it's a win-win for anyone that's been trying to say they want them to fight together, right? So I'm very shocked to see that he finally made it. I mean, the last two opponents that Andrade fought, Nichols and Quigley, and the fights were very boring. I just see him just kind of coming down way on the peak, and he's just halfway down to rock bottom. Who would ever thought that right now the whole panel probably most likely agrees that Benavides is going to be Boo Andrade? I would tell you maybe 4 or 5 years ago we weren't in that same note. We were thinking no, Boo is actually going to take over that. And on the other side, and I disagree. I mean, Benavides has always been raising the hand to get Canelo. Even his father, we had him right after he was stripped from the title. We have Benavides Senior in our show, and he denied, but then throughout says, yeah, we'll get $3, $4, $5 million. We know anyone that fights Canelo is going to get paid, but we want to showcase our skills. We want to show people that who is a true brawler. And I get it. He's tall. His uses his advantage, his reach, but he ducks a lot in the pocket. And so Boo Boo's not going to capitalize on that. But if there's a way that he can't actually do that, it's by him acknowledging the ways that Benavides just opens up clearly, uses the ropes a lot. And this is where Andrade needs to really stay active at all times. Are we going to see that? I don't know. I really don't know. And I feel so bad because I like the guy. I really do. I mean, I'm not a hater of that. I like Boo Boo better than I like Benavides. And I do like him more because now all the Benavides out of nowhere, like cockroaches, they came out of nowhere and they're like huge Benavides fan. Yeah, he beat Caleb Plant and destroyed him, even though he didn't knock him out. But he took more punishment. Caleb Plant took more punishment than what Canelo did to Caleb Plant. I mean, things like that is what I'm hearing. So this is what I say. You're just looking for someone that's going to beat Canelo. And you're going to spend the rest of your life, just like I did, trying to get someone to beat Floyd Mayweather. And I failed 50 times, right? But at the same time, I do agree. There needs to be a little bit more trash talking. I am surprised that Benavides is holding back a little bit in that because we all know for a fact he wants the Canelo. This is the fight that's going to lead to Canelo. And there is a reason why he took a 3, right? He got 3 fights left with PBC. And it's one of them started with Charlo. And it's obvious that in this time, nowadays, Canelo next will be Benavides. But Benavides needs to really make this happen. This is why Canelo is so interesting because he never talks about who he's going to fight in the future. But it's out there, right? And he didn't even mention anything to that. But it's obvious that Benavides needs to take care of business now coming forward. And then we'll see. We know for a fact there's going to be a Cinco de Mayo fight. And then there's going to be a September fight as well. So either or, I don't see, and I love to buy a ticket to your fairy tale land, Cholo, because I really like Boo Boo, and I want to be able to see that, right? Can that happen? But at the same time, if Benavides loses, the chances of him and Canelo, it's never going to happen. Yes,
for sure.
He has to prove himself. It was his fault that he hasn't fought Canelo yet, all right? He came in positive with cocaine. He couldn't make weight. They got him stripped out. When Canelo moved to 168, in the roadmap, it had Benavides for the WBC, but he messed up. Did he work his way up and gain that back again? Absolutely. He needs to take care of Boo Boo. I think he's going to do so. I don't see it as a knockout. I do see a lot of possibilities, but I want this to go to the distance. And I think it's going to be an easy fight, easy win for Benavides. And we're finally going to see what people want to see is someone that can beat Canelo at the 168. Ain't going to happen.
All right.
Be this winner.
There you go. There you go. Look, we're going to go ahead and proceed here to this. You're either going to love it or hate it. There's very rarely is there an in between with these type of fights. Okay. Joe Beeb, how excited are you for Fury, KSI, and Logan Paul, Dillian Danis? From a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being very excited, 1 being not very excited at all. Give me that scale, 1 to 10. And who thinks going to come out on top of these fights here? And are you going to buy it, first of all?
I bought it about an hour ago, actually. I'm gonna rate it about a 9. I'm gonna rate it a 9 because they promoted it good. They suckered me in, bro. And today when I saw Dillian Danis throw that microphone off Logan Paul's head, and again, I'm not condoning violence. I'm not condoning violence, but Logan Paul did throw the microphone at him first, so he had to retaliate.
I thought he threw a bottle of water.
No, it was a microphone.
He threw a microphone at him?
No, he hit him. He grabbed the microphone.
No. Logan. What did Logan throw first?
Logan threw the microphone.
He threw a microphone too.
And Dillian Danis went like this and smacked him right with the microphone.
I didn't
right
know
on
that.
his eye. He was bleeding. He staggered back. He almost fell down. But so this is crazy. This whole thing. So yeah, I just think I'm looking at it for what it is. I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be funny. I actually think Tommy Fury and KSI is going to kind of be like one of them barroom brawl type fights. I think it's going to be almost like a tough man contest. I want to see Dillian Danis choke Logan Paul out in the middle of the ring. So I think this is going to be fun. I think it's going to be funny. So yeah, I actually got roped into this. I have to admit.
So where are you gonna? What's the number?
In terms of pay-per-view buys?
Are you at a 10? Are you at a 10? 10 out of 10?
I said I was at a 9.
Oh, my bad. Okay.
That's the first thing I saw.
I thought you said you were on cloud 9 or something. That's maybe okay. Cholo Trucker, is this your cup of tea? Is there a lane for this type of entertainment for you? Because I know you're also a wrestling fan, so is there a little bit of that element in this for you?
All right.
And 1 to 10, what's your excitement level?
I'll probably be with Beeb somewhere around in between an 8 and a 9, an 8.5, I guess. It's there, man. It is. Look, do I want all press conferences to be like this? Absolutely not. I do not want everybody to have this excitement. We're just talking about the press conference for Benavides and Bubu, and it's kind of dry and dead. Does that mean it needs to turn into a complete clown show like all these guys are doing? No, it doesn't. Every now and then it's a little fun to watch. Don't get me wrong. And by the way, just, for everybody's information, Logan Paul is actually a pretty damn good wrestler. Okay. I am up to date on WWE, and that guy can really go in the ring in wrestling. And I'm actually rooting for him. I am. I'm going to root for him because of his wrestling status. He's made me a fan of his. I think the biggest jackass in all of this is probably John Fury. He is the one. I mean, he is
He's sickening.
It's crazy, man. He's acting like he's the one that's gonna fight, and I hope. I don't know KSI. I don't know. I understand he's a YouTuber. I don't know much about him or anything like that. I understand. I did see the fight between him and Logan Paul quite a few years back. That's the only time I've ever seen him fight. That was quite a few years back. Look, honestly, I'm going to root for the YouTubers on this one. One is for Logan Paul. Okay, for Logan Paul, he has made me a fan of his, through wrestling. And man, they're getting real personal. By the way, shout outs Chris Hansen to Catch a Predator. He was there, man. They're over there saying that Dillian is a predator and that he's on the show, and they're doing the documentary right then and there, right when they're doing the press conference. So Chris Hansen was there, man.
What? Wait. Dillian Danis?
Yes, that he's a predator. Yes. That he's a predator. Chris Hansen is there. And that
it's a setup. It's a setup.
No, I get that.
It could be, yeah. It could definitely be a
Is
setup.
it?
Man.
Yeah. Look, I mean, Dillian could have been
research. It's a setup. It's a setup.
Okay, he could have been walking out and got tackled by some sheriffs, right? And taken and just like to Catch a Predator, man.
It's like Vince McMahon could come up with a storyline like that if he tried. Like Chris Hansen showed up to call the guy a predator. Like, what the hell?
And he brought everyone pizza.
Yeah, he's there with Logan Paul, man. But, yeah, he's there with Logan Paul. He's in Logan Paul's corner, man. So look, it's fun, man. It's entertainment. It's
You're
fun.
gonna buy it now. You're gonna buy it now. You're getting into it. We're getting you into it.
Yeah,
We're roping you
exactly.
in.
Okay, but see, here's the thing. Do I want boxing to turn into this? No, I do not. No. I do not want to be a bunch of, yahoos out there doing what they're doing. The reason why I'm rooting for KSI, even though I don't know anything about the guy, is Tommy Fury. You're supposed to be an actual boxer. And you're the one over here talking about, oh man, I'm gonna end, I'm on this quest to end YouTube boxers. Check this out, Holmes. Nobody knows you except for these fights. Okay, you are only known and only fighting on pay-per-view because of these YouTube fights. Other than that, Big Dog, who the heck are you in boxing? Nobody knows you, Big Dog. So this thing about like, oh man, I'm gonna take these YouTubers out of boxing because they don't belong in boxing. Nobody knows you, man, and your brother is arguably probably the most famous boxer in the world, but nobody knows you, man. So in reality, you should probably give a nice little tip of the cap and saying like, man, you know what? Thank goodness for these fights, man. If not, I would never fight in a pay-per-view, and nobody would even know my name because my dad is over there yelling and doesn't let me talk. So it's fun. There's a lot of entertainment to it. Yes, I am going to watch it.
Okay. Lady Chan, what's your excitement level, and what is there a lane for this for us fight fans? Like, is this here to stay? That all these shenanigans, these misfit boxing shows.
It's here to stay for another at least 4 years, according to the contract that they've signed with DAZN. So we're stuck with it for about 4 years anyway. My excitement, my interest level is more than it usually is. My interest level is usually 0. I'm at a 4 due to seeing this press call. And Beeb, this is Beeb's family here. Beeb is a Fury. He's a Fury.
I'm a Furymaniac. I'm a Furymaniac.
Lives vicariously through the whole Fury family. So if Beeb likes it, I love it. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not sure how much it costs for us to watch it in the UK under pay-per-view. If anybody wants to do a quick Google while I ramble on, be appreciative. Listen, Cholo, so KSI is not going to win, even though I want him to. He's not, because he's tiny in comparison. Tommy Fury's trash, though. Let's not get that twisted.
It's 1999 pounds, by the way.
It's 20 quid. Okay, I just get it. I get maybe.
We're gonna help promote this thing. We're gonna get this thing to 1 million before the show's over.
Oh God, damn it!
To 1 million pay-per-views. Oh.
And just by the way, real quick, the face-off took place with both of them in a cage, in a separate cage.
Yeah, I like that. But like I told you, our pay-per-views are 20 quid, so I mean, it's not that too bad if I can be bothered to do it. Yeah, I mean, it's YouTube boxing, and Tommy Fury isn't going to be able to amass to anything much than even a Southern area title in the UK once he does come over to the real world of boxing. Let's have it right. He's not even at English level yet. He just remember he went the distance with a journeyman that had 102 losses. Let's keep that into perspective. Yeah. Okay.
And he didn't look that great against another YouTuber in Jake Paul either.
This is what I'm saying. So that's the level that he is, right? And then going on with Logan, it's whatever. It's like I know what you guys are saying, know what Cholo's saying. Do we want boxing to become this? No, but a little sprinkle of Jerry Springer here and there never hurt anybody, did it? So that's where I like
Manny en Vivo Marrero, are you what's your excitement level for this from a scale of 1 to 10? And is do you think this? Let me ask you this way: can this be a positive in some way for like can it bring new fans to the sport? What we're seeing here, or is this just another form of entertainment?
It's going to. I mean, if you think about it, this whole YouTuber stuff started KSI and Jake Paul. Remember that first fight they had together? I mean, people didn't really know much about Logan Paul. Oh, I mean Jake Paul and KSI. I didn't never heard of him. So their followings they have been really become a casual, and some have become a hardcore boxing fans now. And so a sport that's been hit a lot different ways, like boxing, whether it's the judges, whether it's the fight makers, whether it's the pay-per-views that we have to pay on top of that, $250 a year for the zone. Habib, can I just I'll drive to your house and I'll see it over there because I ain't paying for this. I am not as much as I want. I'm
You're gonna spend
find
more on gas.
I'm gonna find somewhere that I'm gonna watch this fight. By the way, if there's UFC on that night, I ain't seen it. You know what I mean? But I am a fan of both Pauls. They're Puerto Ricans now, for crying out loud. Okay, un boricua, they live in Dorado, Puerto Rico. Come on, the Puerto Ricans now. And what they've done to the sport is, especially Jake, he is committed and he has done a lot of great things, even in the island and also outside, and in the sport. Has brought a lot of his fans, and also as well, it's something that we needed and there. And so when you have someone that is committed, I would have loved to see the rematch, Jake and Fury. It would have been a little more interesting, and I would have paid for that one. I have no problem with that. Logan hasn't fought in a while either. I mean, he went into wrestling, and your Cholo, hitting the nail right there. And they are entertainers. These guys are entertainers, and that's what they're doing right now. They're entertaining people to go out there, and you know what? They don't need to do a lot. All they need to do is get in their YouTube channel and say, "I'm fighting," and I guarantee you, maybe half of those people are going to buy the pay-per-view. So they're going to need that. And the problem is that you have great fights that are going to go on pay-per-view, and they're making less pay-per-view buys. And, because we don't have an undercard that could sustain that amount of money. I mean, look at the fight coming up last week, right? 600 Canelo? Come on, give me a break, right? So when you think about those things, it's disgusting because now you have legit boxers who are really working their asses off to put a show, basically. And even Dana White said it, with these promoters and also these major networks not putting together a good show like Showtime is doing. They're shit, and he bashed them big time because the way the production is working, it was horrible. The announcers was horrible, anything like that. But anyway, when you look at the other side and what the Zone is doing, and all these YouTubers, they're putting a lot of focus and effort to make an entertainment show for the fans who are going to be paying that kind of money. And I can guarantee you, we're probably going to watch it. I'm not going to pay. I'm going to go somewhere, and then I'm probably going to be entertained. And then the next day, I'm probably going to be like, oh, that was pretty interesting, or not, right? So still, I mean, it is entertainment. I don't see it like boxing. Is it good for the sport? Yes, it is good for the sport. It's just we can't just turn things to like from boxing to like a WWE kind of sort of entertainment, because it's not entertainment. This is boxing. And I can't compare UFC with boxing. Totally different. UFC, it's entertaining. I love UFC, watching it and the way they build those fights. Boxing is the sport. It's in the heart, right? It's the passion. And as much that you got to be working on to become a world champion, it comes from ages and ages. The politics and all that bullshit and all these divisions and organizations, it makes it difficult, but at the same time, it's something that you cannot.
For sure. Absolutely. Look, with all that passion, guys, hit the like button. That same passion that man was talking about, I need you to press the like button. It helps support the channel. Gail, talk to us. What's your excitement level, scale 1 to 10? And do you think there's any redeeming qualities at all out of this? That could maybe some young kid can get into boxing and then discover the real stuff or something like that. You know what I mean?
Oh my God. Listen, I'm not going to drag this out like the 6 hours apparently we were all planning for on Saturday. If this stuff was bare knuckle among these guys, maybe my excitement level might reach a 4 or 5. It's maybe a 2. And I'm not paying for it. If it's your thing, if it's your lane, great. Some people will make a meal out of cotton candy, but you know what? You're going to hate life the next day. And that kind of sugar overload and hangover is what's going to happen to y'all on Sunday if you pay for this. You were warned.
Okay. All right. Mario Munguia Talk to us, brother. Scale 1 to 10, excitement level. Is there any redeeming qualities about this? This lane for boxing, and who do you think's gonna win these fights?
Okay, I'm gonna answer them backwards. No, there are no redeeming qualities, but yes, my excitement level is high. I'm gonna be honest. Like, look, I want to say something very clear. I don't want to support this fight. I really don't want to support this card. What Dillian Danis did and where he took this promotion crossed a line for me. I mean, he harassed a woman and essentially assaulted her on social media every day for a gag, repeatedly, and to the point where she had to get a restraining order, and now she's got a lawsuit. And it's just so disgusting how the spaces in social media and YouTubers and podcasters seem to like rally on Dylan's side, saying, well, this is the fight game. This kind of things happen. They're just promoting the fight. No, that's not the case. That's not the case. Like, what if it was his 18-year-old daughter that he had, was posting pictures of, or doing AI or fake videos or all that stuff. Like, it was gross. And I don't want to support Dillian Danis. What I want to watch is I want to watch him get what's coming to him. That's what I want to watch. And honestly, that's what's going to happen. The guy performed jiu-jitsu at his media day working. Okay. He looks heavy. He looks like he hasn't been training. It's well known that he had no boxing coach all throughout camp. He was reportedly training himself, and it doesn't look like he was training at all. He didn't take this serious. So for everybody trying to say, well, this is the fight game, no, Dillian Danis doesn't participate in the fight game. Dillian Danis participates in the obnoxious. He participates in the numbskull. He participates in disgusting. He participates in all that, but he is not a member of the sweet science, not at all. And not because I say so, but because everyone who knows the fight game knows that you can say what you want between the two guys in front of you face to face, but when you start attacking someone to the level that he did, it's disgusting. And I want to see him get what's coming to him. Also, wouldn't mind seeing KSI lose and hearing no more Canelo KSI stuff. I wouldn't mind Tommy Fury losing to, these guys need their bubble bursted, but, entertain me on Saturday. That's fine.
100%.
Real quick. One last thing. I got a story on the fight coming out NY Fights tonight. And I'm covering the fight on Saturday too. Just a heads up.
Gotcha. We just got to speed it up here. So let me just say this. My excitement level is maybe a 3 or 4 at the most. Like that's it. Because I like to watch high quality boxing. I like to watch world-class boxing. The boxing level in these misfits are very low level. I could see better fights crossing the border in Juarez, Mexico, and I'll see more skill any night than the crap I see there. Everything, they dial it up because that's how they feel they need to do it. You have women flashing their tits on the air. You have after they win, and that's whatever. Like, I don't give a shit.
I like that. I thought you'd love that.
Like, yeah, but here's the problem though. Like, when you're like, if I want to watch a pair of tits, I'll go to Pornhub or something. If I want to see that, like, we could see that anywhere. We don't need to watch a boxing show to see that. You know what I mean? Like, I'll give a phone call to the next door neighbor or something. Maybe I want to see a pair of tits. I don't need I don't need a boxer. I don't need the Ebony Bridges of the world or Shanika Johnsons. I just don't need that. That's me, right? Like, it's as simple as that. If I want to see that dumb, like that's just how I feel about it. And Dillian Danis did harass the fiance of Logan. Now, I have a suspicion that they're both in on it. I don't have proof of that, but I just think he was maybe told to do it for promotional purposes. But maybe I'm completely wrong because I'm not following it like that. But it looks wrong, and it is wrong. And so every picture she's ever taken with somebody, she fucked them. Right? She fucked everybody in the city. She fucked everybody in New York. She's a slut. You know what? Let's say she is. I don't worry about your cock and where it goes, and don't worry about where people put their privates. Worry about your own damn shit. I mean, maybe people just worry about their own life and not worry about how many pictures she took, okay? And all these incels on his fucking comments, all right? Like shaming her. Like it's nobody's fault you can't get laid on, okay? You have to like get mad at women that get laid on the internet, okay? Go cry to somebody else, okay? And this dude, okay, can't box worth the shit. That's what really insults me. He can't fight. He cannot box worth a lick. Logan Paul is going to look like Ray Robinson in there against this dude. This is crazy. You got Jake Paul looks amazing. He's knocking these guys out left and right. And this guy is less of a striker than any of the opponents his brother fought. Like this guy sucks. Like he sucks, right? Like when it comes to boxing, if this was a Brazilian jiu-jitsu match, he would submit him all day, every day. Look, let me ask this, okay? We'll go with this panel. Now look, we got about 10 minutes, so as quickly as you can. All right, Lady Chan, let's talk to you. Supposedly, although I don't see it confirmed anywhere, but it's being reported by some outlets, okay, that the Middle East is going to have the Chris Eubank Jr. Conor Benn fight on the 23rd in the Middle East. What are your quick thoughts about that?
I mean, at this point, I'm just like whatever the weather for a lot of things in boxing at the minute. It's a fight that we didn't initially want. As it got closer in the UK, we was all like on board. I mean, and I'm sure it's just going to replicate itself like that again. I now know that Conor Benn won't win that fight. Before I was thinking that he does have a chance, but Chris Eubank being obviously he's campaigned at 168. Conor Benn, we just saw him at 154. That was tough against a Mexican fighter. Very tough for him. And I think he's not going to be able to do much damage to a Chris Eubank Jr. But it's in the Middle East because he can't fight here, and it's not been addressed. It's whatever at this point. It's whatever. Okay. Yeah.
Manny Marrero, your quick thoughts on this potential matchup happening in the Middle East?
I mean, I'd rather see a third fight Liam Smith, to be honest. Get that settled 1-1. But it's happening, and so I don't know. I mean, I just think that Conor Benn's coming from a lot of issues right now, especially those PEDs, and he started campaigning at 147. It was part of that four horsemen's contenders that I always mentioned and talked about. All of a sudden he just fell apart for me. And I think that Chris has maintained himself more active than him, and if he can definitely stay healthy right now, and his mindset is where it needs to be. I agree with Lady Chan. I think that it's got the slight edge right now over Conor Benn, I would think.
All right. Mario Munguia, your quick thoughts on this potential matchup and it happening in the Middle East? Reportedly.
Very quickly, I think that it feels gross. Like Conor Benn kind of just snuck onto this card, and it feels like Conor Benn is like the new drug that is trying to be smuggled across boxing lines. And, they're hiding him in trucks, they're hiding him in barrels, they're hiding him in wherever they can get him to put him on this card. And to bring him to Saudi feels like it's the exact same thing. My problem is that Chris Eubank really shitted on Conor Benn and really gave him a hard time about the testing. And, obviously for obvious reasons, to fight him now and to give him this chance, you're essentially giving him that door back into big time boxing. So you are no longer a victim, Chris Eubanks Jr. You are now participating in the revitalization of Conor Benn's career. Now, that said, I don't mind it if Chris Eubank goes on and wins. I think what we saw with Bomac is a revitalization. I think that was very strong, very important, makes Bomac right now, in my opinion, the trainer of the year leader. And so I'm all for seeing what Chris Eubank can do. Conor Benn seems like the bad guy. He needs to lean into that role, and it could be a pretty big fight if he does.
All right, Joe Beeb, your thoughts?
Well, a long time ago when the fight was first proposed, I wasn't crazy about it, but then when they started promoting him, I get sucked in sometimes by the promotion. And Chris Eubank's hilarious. He makes me laugh. I just love seeing him wind people up. And I'm intrigued by it. I don't think it's going to be competitive, but hopefully I'm wrong. But I'll look forward to the press conferences.
All right. Gail, what are your thoughts?
It's going to happen whether we love it or not. I'm fine with it being buried on a Christmas weekend in the Middle East. It wouldn't exactly be hot to make travel plans to a troubled area of the world right now, so that could be a factor. Don't particularly love that. One thing I can
I
guarantee
don't
you,
think
though.
Saudi Arabia is close to where the problem.
Well, it's not close, but we just don't know what's going to escalate and what the political fallout's going to be. I can guarantee you one thing, though. Bomac is going to check, recheck, and double check what the hell is packed in his suitcase before he goes over there.
Please do. Yeah.
Definitely.
Cholo, what say you?
Yeah, this is happening at catch weight at 158, correct?
No, it's no longer catch weighted. It's
Is
full
it
one.
just
Well, it's reported, so it's not official yet, the fight, so we don't know the weight.
No. There's not going to be a catch weight. It's already been
Going to be a
stated.
catch weight. It's 160.
No catch weight, 160.
Wow. Okay, well, you know what? Listen, man, I really love Conor Benn. I'm the biggest Conor Benn fan on this side of the world, man. Shout outs to my boy Conor Benn, man. And I'm rooting for him, the little engine that could go up there. Is Chris Eubank Jr. a victim? No, but he will be once Conor Benn gets done with him, man. I'm Conor Benn all the way. Yeah, I'm excited for this fight. It's not the fights that I would want to see Chris Eubank Jr. in or Conor Benn in. There's other fights I want to see them in. When this idea started getting thrown around, heck, I don't know, it seems like a year and a half ago or a year ago or something like that. I was like, wow, this just came out of left field. And it looks like it has to happen. So let's go ahead and make it happen. We'll get it behind us. And Conor Benn all the way. Let's go get it, baby.
All right, there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the round table. We'll be on next week on Joe Habib's channel. That's Ringside Reporter, same time as always, every Thursday. See you there. This is D-Style Boxing. Keep it boxing. We're out of here.
Viva!